Hello, this is some of SCUM's story and some behind the scenes info into the journey and progression into our first Alliance tourney. It all started when we were working with Heretic with Alliance Tourney 10. Zacharias, SCUM and MOD CEO, then had the idea of entering us into the following year's tournament through some changes to the distribution of the loot rules our tourney fund started. We are a relatively small alliance of under 100 members, so we set a target of around 15 to 20 bill, and our main income would come from destroyed ships in our home system. So sorry to all the people that got caught in one of our camps or Titan drops. The whole tourney nearly never happened for us after we got a spy in our ranks and we managed to lose our Titan. The tourney fund nearly turned into a Titan replacement fund for the Alliance, but the Titan pilot took it on the chin and wanted us to pursue entry to the tourney. We all pushed hard to get Pew and ended with around 30 bill including a few donations, which was plenty for entry fee as we didn't need to go into the blind auction. Good fleet compositions, implants and a 10 bill flagship had been bought, and so the journey started. Tankos took the role as team captain, and over the months prior to the tourney we started theory crafting pretty heavily. TDO, Gal, Tankos and Smithster spent far too many hours crunching numbers, fits and compositions, but then we needed to turn theory into practical application. Being such a small alliance, we struggled to get 24 men on the test server to practice. After some talks with some other entrants into the tourney, Chokepoint, who were a great bunch of guys, were in a similar situation, and so we started some sparring matches. From this we got a good idea of what we wanted our compositions to be in the different stages of the tourney, if we managed to get through. To make sure we at least got through to the second week of matches, we fielded what we believed was our strongest team and used our flagship. We were up against Alliance Tourney Vets, Circle of 2, so we knew we were up against it. Led by Tankos, we fielded a damp and newt heavy team to force them close and newt them out. And just like rock, paper, scissors, we still had a weak point, and close range max were our biggest fear. It all went very bad after we lost our Vindy, which was our main source of DPS. Putting all our eggs in one basket was a bad idea, and something which we learned from and didn't do again. But the damage was done, and over 10 bill of ships were lost within minutes, and we dropped into the loser bracket. We all felt a bit hurt, no more than Tankos, who just lost our flagship, also the most expensive flagship in the entire tournament. We knew it was going to be tough, but it doesn't make the loss any easier. But like any true pirates, we got drunk and planned for our next battle. After watching the rest of the fights that day, it looked like the dummies were a good call. We had a team composition already set up and ready to go, and thought we would use them for our next fight, as we were pretty sure they would be banned from next week, when the banning system will come into effect. We ended up flying against Of Sound Mind in our second match. This time we were being led by TDO. This was going to be a tough match, as Of Sound Mind had fielded their flagship. We had a plan of spreading the damps onto their kiting Foons and Logi, sending our support to kill their support while leaving our dummies to just tear up their logistics pilot. This was all executed perfectly, apart from Tankos going out of bounds in one of the maulers. Once their Logi was down, we focused on their flagship. That died pretty easy, but we kept our Logi and Dummy pretty tight, keeping the energy transfers up. Their Foons tried to kite a bit more once all our maulers had been killed, but we abandoned the guards and dropped bouncers that gave us the range to easily finish off the team. Our next match was Sleeper Social Club. We had seen them use Vexor Navies and Ishtars in the first match. Gal had made a composition that was strong against this type of team in practice matches, so we chose our bands to make them fly that setup again, and it worked. They were in the ships we expected and wanted. TDO again was FCing and walked us all to 0. Primaries were the Vexor Navy issues, as they had a lot less tank than the Ishtar. SSC spread out very well and made it difficult to catch them, so after a few of the Navy Vexors were dead, it was just catching what was close and just getting the job done. Revolution was the next team on our list. Watching their previous matches, we knew they were not going to be a full 12, but field bigger ships and less support. We knew that we wanted to go with the Torp Food setup, as their damage is insane, especially if it's webbed and target painted, and can easily break a Tinker tanked team with the nukes and Alpha at its disposal. It didn't start off so well, as Criminals forgot to rep his ship before we got moved, but it didn't matter so much as it was quickly repped up. At the start of the match it was hard to get hold of the Revolution team, as they were fast, but unlike the Sleeper Social Club team where they spread out, Revolution all went together. So once we caught up with them, TDO changed primary from the Vexor Navy to the Ishtar as it was slower than the rest to get moving, and it just melted, even with reps on it. Their Logi was the next primary, but it was 30k away from the Torpedoes that only had about 18k range on them. TDO made the call to a primary Vexor Navy who was in between them and the Logi. That died so easy. We also had enough time to kill another Ishtar before we managed to reach their Logi. Once the Foons were on top of him, it melted, just like everything else. Apart from Shay, who boundary violated, the support from SCUM was exceptional. A very convincing win. Test was next on the list. We really didn't expect to win this fight. We looked at their previous matches, and that didn't help us as what to expect from them. Only thing we could do was to ban the Oneros, as that had been the only Logi they had used in the tourney so far, and from looking at their bands they wanted to be close range brawling. So, after seeing how well the Torpedoes had worked already, we chose them again and hoped for the best. While waiting to be moved, GM Sid opened a convo with Tankos to yet again ask if we were fielding our flagship. Tankos replied, no, in a nice way. A few moments later, GM Sid asked Tankos this.
Will you be fighting today, or will it be Fife?
The poor GM had obviously got a bit kerfuddled. Anywho, we had a name of who might be the FC for Test. TDO called him as the primary at the start and ordered a full overheat of everything on him straight away. And, well, he went down quicker than a 2-bit hooker. Again, the support fleet was excellent and all tracking disruptors were spread straight from the start. The Varga was next primary. With the Foon's DPS applied, it didn't last too long, but we did lose a Foon in the process. Our support fleet then started to focus on their frigs and they just couldn't stand up to the mighty Enyos. We were very surprised to win this battle as Tests are the biggest alliance in game, but this ended up being our easiest match. I guess quality really is better than quantity. I guess pressing F1 will only get you so far, boys. Well, this brings us up to the finals weekend. We were all very excited to be here, maybe slightly not ready for it. TDO had gone on holiday, the tourney fund was running low and we hadn't got many options left for fleet comps. We had a good Gilla and Ishtar composition and a Kiting Foon set up in the pipeline, but it needed a bit more testing. Our next opponents were CVA, one of the longest running alliances in EVE, and always strong in tournaments. And over the next few days it started to come together. Bex and a few others gave a substantial injection of ISK into the fund, which saved us from money worries, and TDO had arranged to come back home from his holidays for the match. And so, Tankos, Gal, Smidster and the boys got their heads down and started to analyse all of CVA's matches. We had seen them fly Ham Legions and Sacrilege, which are close-range ships, which was exactly what we wanted, as we decided to take out 3 Typhoon fleets this match, which, as CCP Dolan pointed out, had brutal DPS. We also took Ishkars and Enyos for the tackle to keep them locked down and to kill off any support they had fielded. The ban started and all the Shield Logi got banned. This was great. It did make them bring out their Sacrilege and Legion team, and when they landed at the beacon, it all looked good. Once the fight started, our hopes of winning very quickly got crushed as one by one our support died very fast with great focused fire on them, but did manage to get some webs on a Legion that died very fast once the Foons arrived. Once our support had died, they kited our Foons. They only had about 10k more range and only about 200 ms faster, and they knew if they were caught, they would die. But their piloting skills were first class. Well, apart from Jonda, who was running away so hard he boundary violated. Slowly but surely they finished off our fleet, and with it our dreams of battling our way into the final. And unlike Hydra, we would have tried to win rather than letting PL pay us off. It was a great experience to be a part of and recommend to all that are considering. We plan to reach the finals weekend again next year and try to go a few steps further. Thank you all for all your comments and mails sent to us throughout this tournament. They were very much appreciated. Thanks for watching.